There is some chatter that Spider-Man 4 is happening and that you'll be back as Spider-Man. Now we're here.
What do you want to know?
Now we're here. Now we're here. We're actually, we're touching. Now we're in the same room. Can we confirm this tonight?
It's happening.
So, Spider-Man 4, officially, it's happening. Tom Holland recently confirmed it on the Jimmy Kimmel TV show. It's actually happening. Not only that, we have an official release date, July 2026, the 24th of July, which means this movie is sandwiched in between Avengers 5, Avengers Doomsday, and Avengers Secret Wars, kind of like the first Captain Marvel movie was sandwiched between Infinity War and Endgame, which also tells us Spider-Man 4 has to somewhat be a multiversal storyline because Spider-Man is most likely going to be one of the main stars for Avengers Doomsday, and he's also going to be in Secret Wars. So whatever happens in Avengers Doomsday is most likely going to be the catalyst or somewhat will set up Spider-Man 4. So yo, what is freaking good, YouTube? Warstu here with a video on Spider-Man 4 and the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So much news, rumors, and official confirmations have come out about Spider-Man 4 recently. So we had Venom 3 come out. Interesting. A lot of people seem to think the ending set up the God of the Symbiotes, Null, coming to the MCU. Sadly, that was not the case because he's still stuck on Clintar, and until there's a new codex, he ain't got no chance in hell of coming out. But there is still the Venom symbiote that was seen in the movie that is currently somewhere. We've seen it. So yes, careful spoilers. Venom did die, but as Venom said to Eddie Brock, this is not a goodbye forever. This is just a goodbye for now. So Venom will return. So we don't know if Null is going to be the villain for Spider-Man 4. It's not looking very likely, but I hope the director of Venom 3 wasn't capping. So if you are new around here, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, Kaiju, Monsterverse, pop culture-based content that I try to cover on a daily basis. If you could subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know. What do you think about all this news? Also, check us out on Instagram, at Warstu, to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. And check us out on Twitter, WarstuJ. Right. Let's get into it. So, I've been sitting on this for a few days because I can't work out if this is real or not. So, something came up on Production Weekly. And yes, because it's Production Weekly, people have instantly said, it's got to be real. Well, Production Weekly is a subscription service that delivers news and updates, essentially on films and TV productions, allowing you to market and network plans, sales campaigns, or find your next job. So it's essentially there for people that work in the industry. So it's somewhat really legit. But then again, stuff that's come from Production Weekly has been wrong because productions get changed, information gets changed. So according to this, it says the following. Spider-Man 4 feature film. But then right at the end of this passage, it says AKA Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, if you remember, we had Far From Home, we had Homecoming, and we had No Way Home. So they use the word home in the first three movies in that trilogy. So what happens if Day? Is Day gonna, because we know Tom Holland Spider-Man is doing another trilogy, which will predominantly take place after Avengers Secret Wars, because this is the longest we've actually gone without having a Spider-Man movie. It's been 3 years since Tom Holland Peter Parker was seen in the MCU, which is the longest we've gone without a Spider-Man movie since he debuted, realistically. And that is probably why they are pushing this movie to come out in between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Why? Because it will make much, much more money if that is the case. And we know Tom Holland has recently renegotiated his contract. He's worth a lot more now to Marvel because, let's be honest, Marvel doesn't have any star power anymore, apart from maybe Chris Hemsworth, Thor, maybe Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange. They don't have the like. Okay, yes, they do have Robert Downey Jr. now, but he's only going to be playing Doom currently, from what they've publicly said, till Avengers Secret Wars. So at the moment, Tom Holland is probably their biggest star they've got. So they will use Tom Holland as much as they're allowed to. So what does this information actually say? It says that it's that in depth that I don't actually believe it. So it says, following the events of Doomsday, Peter Parker is determined to lead a normal life and focus on college, stepping back from his responsibilities as Spider-Man. Now, this is very interesting because let's hypothetically say this is true, right? Following the events of Doomsday. So everyone's expecting Doomsday to end with some catalytic event that essentially it was going to set up Battle World will be where Secret Wars takes place. Most people seem to think. So whatever happens in Doomsday, Peter Parker's is going to step back from being Spider-Man. Really? I just think this is thrown up there, just to build up some anticipation. However, peace is short-lived. When a new deadly threat emerges, endangering his friends and forcing Peter to reconsider his promise. His friends. Now that's interesting because you remember at the end of No Way Home, Doctor Strange did the spell. He doesn't have any friends at the moment. And you got to think Doomsday happens first. So is Doctor Doom going to do something? We don't know. Peter reluctantly returns to his Spider-Man identity and finds himself teaming up with an unlikely ally to protect those he loves. Now, this is where I think it's getting a bit convoluted. Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man, Michael Keaton, Vulture, and Robert Downey Jr., Doctor Doom, mentioned to join the cast late May 2025 to late October 2025. Interesting. So Robert Downey Jr.'s money that has been cycling around the internet of what he's getting paid for Avengers 5 and 6 does not include Spider-Man 4. Also, apparently, he's going to be in the first Fantastic Four movie. I tell you what, do you know how much money he made to be in Spider-Man Far From Home? Generational wealth. God, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be rolling in money if he is really the star of Avengers 5, Avengers 6. He's going to be somewhat a star in Spider-Man 4, and he's going to be in the Fantastic Four movie. I know he's got the supporting award for the Oscar for Oppenheimer, but he wasn't the main star. He didn't win the main trophy. That went to, boy, Cillian Murphy, who realistically should be Doctor Doom. So we know the incursions are coming. Doctor Doom's inclusion would strike a perfect balance between the narrative of him being a villain and him being a hero. There's so many rumors out there alluding to what he's actually doing. So the Cosmic Circus website, Alex Perez, posted an article on October the 27th, 2024, Spider-Man 4's grounded story. It's interesting because this article takes in, I presume, what Alex has heard and what he thinks. Alex never comes out and says exclusive scoop. He says what he thinks. He says what he's heard. He's pretty good at what he does. Spider-Man 4, a real movie worthy of fans' respect. Quote by Thomas Holland. So I think this basically means we are getting a grounded Spider-Man 4, but because we're in a multiversal saga, even though we've literally had no incursions, it's going to have to somewhat be multiversal. A statement like that, one Tom Holland shared regarding the film story, is bold. There will always be a sector of fans who might not like the direction of a film's story, which is certainly true for Spider-Man fans. Over the last few weeks, the main point of debate has been whether or not Peter's following the events No Way Home should aim to be grounded or multiversal. I personally think it doesn't really matter. Just give us a good story. That's just what I think. The story arc for the past few years since the start of Phase 4 has put the multiverse in the spotlight across many projects, although it hasn't really, let's be honest. Understandably, many fans are tired of multiversal story trope. Why? We haven't really had much. And some believe it tends to get repetitive throughout many projects. It does, because it hasn't really gone anywhere. Using it over as a crutch to compensate for poor storytelling and legacy cameos in their projects. In addition to that, Marvel / Sony have already used the multiversal story trope in Spider-Man No Way Home. Definitely, that movie would have not got close to 2 billion if you didn't put Tobey and Andrew in there. That is fact. So if they went for a multiversal story again, some fans might feel as though the next installment might be a repeat of the last film. Cheapen the value of No Way Home. Yeah, I somewhat agree with that. However, Tom Holland himself noted during his appearance on the Rich Roll podcast, one of these things to bear in mind with Marvel is that your film is a small cog in a large machine, and that machine has got to keep running, and you need to make sure you can fit into the timeline at the right time to benefit the bigger picture. So Tom Holland understands the business side of Hollywood, which is cool. That's one of the challenges we're facing this time, in which we need to get that done is a tall order, but achievable with the fantastic people we have working on it. A tall order is correct, especially if you want to tell a street level story just after the bombshell of a movie that is expected to be just a few months prior, Avengers Doomsday. In the next few articles, we will present a few ideas about the direction a Spider-Man story could take in the next few years. To kick things off, we will explore the concept of a street-level story that could adapt into the current landscape of the multiverse saga for the up-and-coming film in a way that makes sense for everyone. So, what do we know about Spider-Man's future appearances so far? Before the arrival of Spider-Man 4, Tom Holland is set to make his MCU return in up-and-coming Avengers Doomsday. The film, penned by Stephen McFeely and directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, will be responsible for presenting Peter's first interactions at the moment since the events of No Way Home. So the audience will be looking forward to seeing how his story picks up from there. The current rumor mill behind Doomsdays seem to indicate that we will see the effects of the incursions play out, with Dr. Doom, portrayal by Robert Downey Jr., being the clever mastermind behind it all. Well, Loki's got to be there somewhere, let's be honest. Potentially creating a battle world, using the remnants of the final universes by the end of it all, or maybe a new sacred timeline. Just 2 months after Doomsday, we'll be getting Spider-Man 4, which is insane. Some rumors have pointed out some of the characters that would take part in the cast include Michael Keaton playing Vulture, Charlie Cox Daredevil makes sense, a second female lead, even Robert Downey Jr. Additional reports have also stated that the up-and-coming sequel, as opposed to a prequel, in the same way Ant-Man and the Wasp was a prequel released after Avengers Infinity War. I've corroborated the last report independently, therefore we can start our storyline premise from there. Tie in Doomsday to the next chapter of the story-round story. It won't be easy. What if by the end of Avengers Doomsday, Doom got his way and managed to create a brand new world, not necessarily Battle World, but rather a new sacred timeline with different universes and timelines intertwined together to create a new Earth. After all, He Who Remains did that to make the sacred timeline, which we know as the Infinity Saga. Rumor has it that one of the more important interactions in the film will be between Peter and Dr. Doom. Doom carries the face of Peter's former mentor, Tony Stark. The iconic mask will likely cover his face, not to mention if Doom is investigating the cause of the incursions. There is no doubt that one cause by Peter and Doctor Strange will be at the top of his list. This will make him interested in, at very least, talking to both of these characters. But that's another article for another day. Suppose Doom offered Peter the opportunity to safely undo the effects of Strange's spell and grant him the chance to get his friends and possibly even family back. In that case, Peter, who is emotionally vulnerable following the event of No Way Home, is likely to quickly jump at the opportunity for the chance of a new life. A Brand New Day, which is the rumor title from Production Weekly. I'm skeptical about it. A brand new day, a brand new timeline, this article suggests. In this new version of reality, Peter could have a new life, a reality he's always envisioned. Peter is in college, where we know the storyline's going with the next 3 Spider-Man movies, with his friends MJ, Ned Leeds. This would be an excellent way to reintroduce fellow co-stars Jacob, Zendaya. The timeline resets could also allow previous characters displayed throughout the multiverse to return, such as Michael Keaton, Vulture, and bring back characters that we lost along the way, such as Aunt May, and who knows who else might show up if multiple universes are tied into the new version of Earth. Although this is just a theory and a what-if scenario, from what Alex Perez is saying, I don't believe this is just a theory and what if. It's almost like Alex Perez is somewhat trying to tell you something without actually telling you something. And that's why I like reading his articles, because even if this is factual and he knows this is somewhat where they're going, he's not saying that. From this point, the story could take place anywhere across New York, although the direction most fans are interested in is seeing Spider-Man walk into Hell's Kitchen. Following their brief interactions in No Way Home, fans have been wanting to see Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock return to the franchise as Daredevil and interact with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, with the idea being they would team up to take down Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin. But how exactly could these storylines intertwine? Yeah, that's a fair assumption. A lot of people want that. Spider-Man, Daredevil, A Devil's Reign. The next time we see Matt Murdock's entry into the MCU will be March 2025, in his series, Daredevil Born Again. I can't wait for that series. We'll see Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk on their own personal lives as they attempt to leave behind the lives that they both knew as Daredevil and the Kingpin. Murdock returns as a career as a lawyer with his lawyer firm, and Wilson Fisk pursues his political endeavors as the mayor of New York. They are set to adapt a critical storyline in the comics known as Devil Reign, where Fisk essentially becomes the mayor and outlaws vigilantes in New York, making heroes like Daredevil, Punisher, and even Spider-Man public enemy #1. At the same time, Fisk is forced to leave his former life as a mob boss behind to obtain his political status, and leaves a massive Kingpin-sized hole in the Marvel crime underground, leaving large amounts of territory and power up for grabs, which no doubt would unleash an entire war in New York. It's an excellent way to introduce new villains, reintroduce familiar faces as secondary villains from Spider-Man lore, such as Tombstone, members of Aaron Davis' Prowler, so on and so forth. With all that stake, Spider-Man and Daredevil would have to team up to face the oncoming gang war, which threatens the life of people in New York, in an attempt to change the court of public opinion on the heroes as vigilantes, also whilst looming the shadow of Wilson Fisk, literally overseeing everything. With great power comes great responsibility. The one element that should be explored throughout the story is Peter's sense of guilt, which haunts him as the movie plays out. Yes, he finally has the life he's always wanted, but at what cost? His choice affected the lives of those around him, and that decision will yawn the back of in his head. As the story plays out, it echoes back to the main point that made him become the hero we all love and know. The most common interpretation of it refers to Peter choosing to be responsible with his powers as Spider-Man, which is what makes him the iconic hero. But in the sense, great power isn't just actual power. The true great power is a choice, our choice, to have an incalculable ripple effect across not just our lives, but those around us. In Peter's case, his choice would have affected practically the lives of everyone in the known multiverse. The weight of that choice would have weighed on him throughout the movie, ultimately realizing that he did not choose responsibility and must do the right thing by undoing it come Avengers Secret Wars. The issue with the potential multiverse storyline happens before Secret Wars, with many of the elements to sound intriguing and are something that many fans are interested in seeing. The current setting might make it extremely difficult for them to become a good story. Many fans are eager to see Pete and Matt interact, but doing a storyline like this now, especially in an Ultimate Universe, might have seemed distasteful to many fans, since it ruins the risk of never becoming canon if Doom's sacred timeline is reversed. A majority of this story would be all for naught, since none of the interactions we would see in the movie would have preserved post-Secret Wars. The story benefited if they adapt it across multiple films and evenly spaced it out through different projects, like the second season of Daredevil Born Again and Spider-Man 5, once the multiversal saga has ended. This leaves us with another alternate story set with a multiversal tone, a tie-in to recent Sony-related projects that could bring Spider-Man face-to-face and the interaction fans have wanted for such a long time. Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock, aka Venom, back. But this is a story for another day. So it's worded like a theory. Theory, Spider-Man 4, grounded story. I believe Alex Perez is telling you what he's heard. He's just not wording it like that. It's just too in-depth for it just to be a theory. He is really right. If it is going to be set on an alternate universe that Doom presents saying, yo, you can have everything you wanted, but it's got to be in a universe, and he decides to take it, and then he has second thoughts, and then it all gets reversed. The article is bang on. So whatever Spider-Man 4 is going to be, it's going to be very interesting. I personally don't believe it's going to be called A Brand New Day. Really? Spider-Man, Brand New Day. And I don't believe the synopsis, because if Dr. Doom was going to appear in this movie, they'd want it to be a secret. And if Andrew Garfield was going to be in this movie, hell, why don't they just throw everyone in the movie? I don't believe if either of them actors were in this movie, they would keep it secret. And plus, it's production weekly, which can't be trusted. Even though it is full professionals working in that industry, I still believe that's nonsense. So likewise, guys, let us know. What do you think about this article? Do you think it could play off? Do you think he's actually telling you without telling you? And what do you think about the notes on Production Weekly? I personally don't believe it, but it's interesting. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at Warstu, check us on Twitter, WarstuJ, and I will catch you another guys very soon. Catch you later.